Imagine being dumped by your girlfriend, exactly on the day the apocalypse begins. What she doesn't know is that you've already lived through this and have been reincarnated right at this moment, with all your memories and knowledge intact. The last thing that would benefit you now is being in a relationship, since it would only be a burden in this apocalypse. Welcome to this incredible series. In the news, fishermen from the coastal area discovered a giant abalone that not even 10 people together could wrap their arms around, suspected to be the result of nuclear wastewater. In the tourist zone, ancient trees are growing out of control, their roots stretch for kilometers, drawing in curious visitors. Cracks have opened in the earth, possibly anomalies in the planet's veins. Enormous vines hang from the sky. Childhood fairy tales are turning into reality. Train tracks have been torn apart in several sections, causing casualties. We see a crowd, yet these are just clickbait headlines from marketing channels, no different from when the neighboring country reported zombies biting people years ago. Exactly, nothing has happened. Nothing interesting is going on at school. The most popular girl is breaking up with her boyfriend. This is certainly real. She truly is the most popular. Chuck Lee, the goddess, Lily, is finally going to end things with this person. If you asked her, she would say she was only dating him out of social charity. She already has her acceptance letter from King Chin University, while her boyfriend can't even get into a decent college. Their futures are on completely different levels. I think his name was Fan, something like that. Fan Ji doesn't understand what she's talking about. She has thought it through and believes their relationship isn't realistic. High school romances eventually reach the moment when both people wake up and realize they aren't that compatible. Walking together for a lifetime takes courage, but it also requires being of the same social level. So it's better to end it. He doesn't care. No matter what method you use to try to keep her, it's impossible. But this person hasn't said anything. She can't understand why he remains silent. Could the blow have been so great that he collapsed, even suffered damage to his brain? Of course, she is the most popular girl in school. Shouldn't he kneel immediately and beg her to come back? Yet with those looks, he has no chance with a rich and beautiful lady. It's like a toad wanting to eat a swan. Better that he say nothing. But he simply tells her, it's fine. There's nothing more to say, and he leaves. She is angry. She doesn't understand how he can be so direct. Is he acting, or is this real? She asks if he wants to say anything else, but she doesn't care what he truly thinks. No matter what method he uses, she will never get back together with him. He should understand that and make it clear to himself. Still, our protagonist's gaze never changes. He has no illusions. As for the popular girl, he is occupied with far more important matters. He walks away, and the others can't believe it. How can he be so cold? Chuck King Lin and the others have no idea, no sense of the crisis that is about to arrive. Money, academic titles, all the rules of modern society will turn to ashes. They also don't know that he is now someone reborn, having traveled from a future disaster back to the present. The Chuck Lee before him is just a distant acquaintance. He has more important things to truly worry about. What does the popular girl matter? What do other people's opinions matter? Everything is going to change. The real crisis will affect all humanity on this planet. It began last night. It is detected that the spiritual awakening will be fully activated in 364 days, 11 hours, and 59 minutes. Once the recovery of spiritual energy begins, the world will undergo monumental changes. The rules of society will reset, and the era of cultivators will arrive. Strength will become the standard of measure. This is something he doesn't yet fully grasp, but the system originates from the supreme cosmos. It uses universal-level algorithms and can automatically generate cultivation techniques for any spiritual object the host touches. Current cultivation techniques, 0. When he tries to touch the system, a colossal beast emerges from it and lunges to devour him. He cannot believe what it is. This was the end of his life as an ordinary person, and also the end for billions of inhabitants of the blue planet. Inside, he has already died. Now he remembers, in his previous life, he was just an ordinary person, dragged along by circumstances, struggling to survive. He only wanted to endure and overcome the disaster. He saw the fall of his country and the suffering of millions. In the end, he could not escape the pursuit of mutant beasts. He died in despair. His resentment and thirst for revenge reached their peak. Maybe that is why he was chosen by this system, to return to the present a full year before the official spiritual awakening. For now, the majority of people still have no idea this awakening is coming. He must use every anomaly caused by spiritual energy to his advantage. Throughout this process, the system begins a new evaluation. The host has been bound to the system. A new path is being initiated. Everyone in the world can become material for this system. He must work hard to collect powerful techniques and abilities, to become a cultivator and save the world. In the news, the situation humanity currently faces is extremely severe, unprecedented in history. We cannot find answers in the past, we can only rely on our own skills and adapt to the environment as best we can. The authorities have neither reassured the public nor denied the recent anomalies. Instead, they have warned residents to prepare. This stance is a special form of alert, one that the government cannot openly express. Previously, reports about supernatural phenomena would never have been spread so widely. This subtle approach is the signature method of the CIA. It allows people to gradually stay calm and maintain trust in their country. Although it's laborious and complicated, the effect is far better than the constant looting and machine gun shootings happening in the neighboring country. Our protagonist remembers what the system mentioned: everything can be used by him. That means he must go wherever anomalies appear. King Chin University has asked students to register, to be careful, and to take sun protection measures. Even prestigious universities are now putting out deceptive advertisements. With this kind of heat, people should already have died. The news feels fake, they've bought their way into the trending list. But at that moment, he looks up at the sky. Could the weather be so different? Quincy University is only 15 minutes away by car. Something feels wrong. The new student registration is still proceeding as normal, but he can't believe it. In this world, when anomalies first appear, most people don't pay attention, they just think it's a marketing stunt. But he knows, this is his first opportunity. He arrives at the north gate of Quincy University, where fewer people are gathered. Definitely, something is wrong. He sees people sweating under the intense heat. Touching an object nearby, he detects an intense fluctuation of yang attribute, unlocking the attribute database. Suddenly, a terrible pain strikes him. An incredible light bursts forth, and for a moment he wonders if he's hallucinating. It's like a super scion has appeared. Or perhaps, the descent of an angel. But his skin burns, he wants the compilation to finish quickly, feeling like he might die. The compilation succeeds. He has obtained a yang attribute cultivation technique, specifically, the Golden Sun breathing method. Meanwhile, at King Chin University, a line has formed outside. The girl we saw earlier arrives, and everyone wants to talk to her, asking to accompany her, inviting her to visit their club. She rejects them all, there's no need, and she finds it all annoying. But she does notice others excited to enter the same university, happy they'll still see each other every day, and they celebrate together. Suddenly, behind her, a massive explosion occurs. The university loudspeakers announce a high-temperature warning at the north gate of the campus. Students are advised to stay away and not approach. Everyone is shocked. Strange things have been happening everywhere lately. She can't help herself, she has to see what's going on. At the north gate, we see our protagonist, battered but gazing at the blazing sun. The scorching heat can be harnessed through the Golden Sun breathing method to temper his body. This technique doesn't need to be learned, it's already unlocked. Writing points, 50. He doesn't yet understand what that means, but it doesn't matter, it's clearly useful, and he'll figure it out later. As he breathes again, everything returns to normal. Some people think the sky darkened briefly just now, but now it feels slightly cooler. Still, they hurry, as the north gate is crowded. Why would people gather here when a direct warning was sent? The director of King Chin University orders everyone to quickly go register, anyone who doesn't will lose credits. Someone else says the security perimeter must be re-established, blocking off the north gate completely. The system informs our protagonist that he has cleared a level A contamination zone at the north gate of King Chin University. He has obtained officially recognized anomaly points from the nation of Sia, generating spiritual awakening energy. Danger level, undetermined. He doesn't know what's going on, but the alerts keep sounding. Unauthorized individuals in the restricted north gate area must evacuate immediately. The uniformed men here, these are military personnel. He doesn't understand exactly what's happening, but this hot spot has drawn many people. He needs to leave and begins to run. But at that moment, someone approaches, realizing this was caused by a person. Could it be that another individual has made premature contact with spiritual energy? He's not sure. But we see the girl, keeping a close eye on everything. She can't believe such a terrifying phenomenon was caused by a human. That shadow from earlier, it's Fong Yi. But no, it can't be, with her grades, there's no way she would be here at King Chin. We cut to Fong Yi's home. He doesn't know what's wrong with him, he feels a burning heat inside his body that won't fade. Cold showers, air conditioning, nothing helps. If it continues, he might not even be able to sleep tonight. But he's caused such a commotion, could someone have discovered him? He needs to check. He doesn't know what it is. The Spiritual Chi Cultivation Association sounds vaguely familiar. He recalls it as some kind of online group that appeared in the past, posting cultivation rules from time to time. Back then, everyone thought it was just a web novelist playing with the idea of cultivation. But now, he's not sure what's going on. That person he saw earlier at King Chin University, could they be part of it? At that moment, he sees the contract. It's an announcement, and it seems to have been officially released by the state. In his previous life, he had never heard any information about such an association. As an ordinary person, he would never have been able to access it. And when the disaster completely overturned his life, he had no time to think about it. Every ounce of his energy was spent just on surviving. If the Spiritual Chi Cultivation Association is an official signal for those who have made premature contact with Chi, then, as he says to himself, he will try the golden sun breathing method again. The moment he breathes, he begins to levitate. The first step is to temper the physical body into a weapon, so that this weapon body can contain the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. Controlling the chi, he forges the form of a divine axe. While he does this, the system congratulates him, he has ascended to 1-star Wifu level. Now, he can use the writing points he's obtained to forcibly implant the writing data he has into any object. He almost forgot about that. He's not entirely sure what the phrase means. This, writing data, refers to the golden sun breathing method he obtained earlier. But if he can implant it into any object, does any really mean anything? To test it, he uses a cup, consuming writing points to embed the yang attribute into the object. And yes, he was right. Forcible implantation is essentially enchanting an object, granting it supernatural power. If he chooses to proceed, this cup will become a yang attribute cup. And if the object were a weapon, a gun, a knife, or anything else, it could become his exclusive weapon. According to the system, he shouldn't limit himself to collecting data of only one attribute. A custom-made weapon imbued with supernatural power will be extremely important in the future. Better to test it on the cup first. If it works, then he'll craft a real one. Starting over this time, to face the mutant monsters, he must be completely prepared. But from his room, a strong light suddenly bursts forth, and below, a monster has taken notice. While our protagonist is sleeping peacefully, he suddenly hears something. He doesn't know where that sound came from. It's not from his own apartment, nor from the pipes. Could it be that in another apartment, someone keeps a pet that sounds like a rodent? After all, he's just advanced to the Wifu level, and his hearing now surpasses that of an ordinary person. It's normal that he can pick up sounds from neighboring apartments. But something feels off. There's movement in the hallway. That rabbit is actually a mutant beast, one affected by the anomaly. The memories from his past life are distant, but seeing this creature again still sends chills down his spine. This very rabbit had devoured the Dark Night fruit and had never been captured. Its speed is truly astounding. Elsewhere, a hooded figure is receiving updates. It's that same girl, and she's appeared on the scene. They've detected the aura of that mutant beast once more. The aura of the Dark Night has been confirmed. The target has entered a residential area 20 kilometers away. Coordinates are being received, and they must secure the target at all costs, or else this entire residential district will be destroyed. Everyone is warned to be careful. The beast has just consumed the Dark Knight's spiritual fruit. Its mutant evolution is incomplete, which means it's very likely to keep evolving and growing stronger. No one can afford to drop their guard. Back with our protagonist, he has noticed the dramatic changes to his body after advancing. Now he can clearly see the creature's movements in slow motion. His muscles can react and move instantly, dodging attacks with ease. But mutant beasts appearing this early, it's too soon. Compared to those from his previous life, this one hasn't even fully evolved yet. The Dark Knight attribute at this stage will greatly increase its strength and ferocity. He must kill it now, otherwise, everyone in this building will become food for this monster. Grabbing it by the vulnerable base of its tail, he hurls it away from the area and chases after it. With a single punch, he strikes and blasts a hole clean through the creature's body. Still, it dares to try absorbing his young attribute power. The blazing, dominant power of the sun surges. This rabbit is seeking its own death. The moment it tries, it explodes. Those inside their apartments think they've heard thunder, but they see nothing more. The beast is dead. He can hardly believe it. Just moments ago, it looked like a starving wretch, desperate to devour his strength. Clearly a Dark Knight attribute creature, yet even against the young attribute that so violently counters it, it still tried to feed. It must have been truly hungry. The mutation of beasts has already begun. If he had still been an ordinary, unawakened person, everyone here would probably have ended up as this monster's appetizer. To face these threats, he needs to gather more cultivation techniques. Elsewhere, the girl arrives and sees that the target is dead, its body shattered into pieces. She begins collecting the remains of the Dark Knight Eye tribe, but suddenly senses a burning aura, Yang attribute, extremely pure and strong, identical to the one at King Chen's North Gate. This can't possibly be a coincidence. She reports back to the central base, the rabbit is dead, but not by her hand. A new high attribute precursor has appeared. The response from the base is one of disbelief. She's saying that the purification of the contaminated area at King Chen's North Gate and the defeat of the mutant rabbit were done by the same person. And although this person's aura is only at 1-star Wifu level, their attribute is incredibly powerful, exactly the same as at King Chen's North Gate. She confirms it. There is no record of this person in the central base's main files. A precursor with such talent, the association must seize the chance to meet them. She agrees completely. She's ordered to drop her current assignments. The priority now is to track the precursor, ensure they are registered in the records, and, ideally, persuade them to join the Spiritual Chi Cultivator Association. Understood. But for now, she's going to get something to drink. Who exactly is this person? In truth, the association is right, someone with this strength must be an expert. She must go and meet him. Back to our protagonist. It's morning. The day begins with the sun, and the golden light bathes his body. Waking early benefits his cultivation greatly. Feeling the dawn, he activates the golden sun breathing technique. Since reaching the Wifu realm, every time he has used the golden sun breathing technique, he can sense the chi taking form, like threads of silk wrapping around his divine axe. Another breakthrough is coming soon. The axe already feels much lighter than it did yesterday. Cultivation, to him, is like chopping wood, no secrets, just perseverance. And by the end of this session, he advances to 2-star Wifu. His physical body feels even more powerful. Although his rate of progress is fast, it's only because he still hasn't used up all the energy stored inside him from the 1-star breakthrough. From now on, he will have to advance step by step, with his feet firmly on the ground. But the manifestations his cultivation produces are too eye-catching, it's better to find a more secluded place. Meanwhile, in the association's office, solar energy fluctuations are being detected again. It must be that same boy. Our protagonist heads to a river to use his writing points and implant the Yang attribute into his chosen target. Previously, he tried to use a collectible figurine as a weapon, and while the writing was successful, the object couldn't withstand the Yang attribute's power. It seems not all items can serve as effective weapons. This time is different. The sword he holds resonates with the strength in his body, they share the same origin, fitting together perfectly. The writing is successful. It's a good weapon, and he wants to test its power. But when he makes a strike, he overdoes it, nearly causing a forest fire. The noise and smoke are too obvious, they must have noticed. He needs to leave immediately. We see a girl arrive, only to use her voucher for milk tea, and she fails this time. Bad luck, she's been on a losing streak. But then she notices the water nearby, it looks like hot springs. What has that guy done now? How is she supposed to fix this? Where can she restore things to their original state? The cleaning crew will scold her again. Ever since that man appeared, she hasn't been able to get anything done. She spots a mark on the ground. This is impossible. Last night, that chi was 1-star Wifu, and now it's already 2-star. And not only that, there are traces of an extremely powerful chi, a spiritual weapon. Spiritual weapons, as the name implies, are ordinary weapons implanted with attributes, allowing them to unleash extraordinary power. But spiritual weapons are extremely rare, even within the association, there are only 2. And the technology for spiritual energy cores is still incomplete, restricted, and not fully released. How could this person have one? No, it must be a mistake. Better to focus on cleaning up this mess, starting by cooling the stream. Now, his weapon carries the Yang attribute, but the system hasn't said it must be Yang only. After all, the system has indicated before that he can write techniques of different types. Everything in this world can become material for writing. So, when he acquires other attributes, he can implant them into the weapon as well, combining them. At that moment, he sees many messages on his phone. He's been busy and forgot to set privacy settings. Even the officially recruited soldiers are only at the Wifu realm. A new contaminated domain has been detected, he sent the location and opens the compressed file. Inside, he sees details about the contaminated domain, the lava dragon of the underground river. It was originally formed from the geological layers, but due to celestial mutation, the original water has turned into high-temperature lava, making the domain's temperature extremely high. It carries the same Yang attribute as his own, he might be able to use this. He wants to form a team. In Bingmu district, Old Lee is asking when his friend will arrive. Very soon, he says, thanking him for the map and data. He found the place immediately, and the information is detailed. He thanks him again, ready to serve and explore with him. Once inside, they'll need to be extremely careful. But what a pity, there don't seem to be any outstanding pioneers with real potential. He had hoped to recommend them to the association. She is Sanjoa, an employee of the Cultural Department of the Spiritual Cultivation Association. Many pioneers don't know that the association is, in fact, an official government department. To become an official employee, the requirements are very high, normally you can't even find the connections to apply. She was able to join because she passed multiple exams, and, admittedly, because her family owed a few favors. If she fails to achieve good results, she might be reassigned to a different job. But now, Fan has arrived, it's Fan E. She introduces herself. Sanjoa is surprised, so young, yet already at 2-star Wifu. What's strange is that, despite her strong presence, there's no aggressive aura, on the contrary, it feels warm. And now that everyone is here, they open the doors and prepare to enter. Our protagonist volunteers to go ahead and ask someone to light the way for him. Fan warns him to be careful, there are loose stones in this place. She admits she thought all the water here had turned to lava, and when drops of water fell, she was startled. But something feels strange, after entering, it's not as hot as they imagined. It must be because they haven't yet reached the contaminated core. She tells them that if they feel tired, they must speak up, the safety of everyone comes first. Even though our protagonist was the last to join the team, the group treats him like one of their own, whether out of friendliness or because they truly want a reliable companion. In these times, that kind of sincerity is rare. They finally arrive, it really is lava, molten and seething. She tells him not to go forward, not to act on his own. But what is he doing? Doesn't he value his life? He drives his fist forward, and a massive surge of fire erupts. The system detects a celestial anomaly, activates its internal sensors, and begins analysis. Supreme calculation power engaged, writing in progress. He has obtained the Crimson Extinction Saber technique, the inner flame of extreme internal heat, carrying explosive properties with devastating destructive force. The Crimson Fire Saber art, only when drawn does its true power appear. Each slash makes the flames roar, the blade is engulfed in blazing fire, creating fiery lightning. The saber focuses the flames, which detonate through sheer force of will, releasing immense energy. This is it, exactly the perfect plan for his saber. He spends writing points to fuse the inner flame attribute into the weapon. Everyone is watching, and everything is going smoothly. His weapon is now absorbing the power of the lava itself. It seems Fan has recovered, whatever happened earlier must have been just a small accident during training. Now, the spiritual chi in the area has stabilized, it's time to enter. They feel it immediately, the chi has shifted, and it can now be absorbed without trouble. He feels it too and knows he needs to train a little more. This marks their official step into the path of cultivation. He's pleased, and she's happy for them as well, her main purpose here was just to gather data. She tells everyone to train in peace while she goes to search for more information. But then she notices the presence of other pioneers. These newcomers are angry, demanding to know where those two came from and telling them to get lost, claiming this territory as their own. It's a bad situation, 3 of them are 1-star Wifu, far stronger than her group. Even combined, they wouldn't win. She apologizes, saying they arrived here first, but her friends have already begun absorbing the chi. She asks politely if it's fine for them to share. The answer is a sneer, she's just a brat, who hasn't even reached Wifu, so she shouldn't talk as if she's somebody. They threaten to drive them off or kill them. She knows that since the awakening of spiritual chi, the law of the strong rules, this era of wild growth means weak pioneers have no right to resources that could make them stronger. But the nation has declared it will not allow this situation to continue. As a member of the association, she feels she must do something. And then Fan arrives. Well, what a big surprise, he says. You're so big and strong, yet you use that strength just to bully a little girl. The 3 are confused by what he's talking about. Then he draws his sword and slams it into the ground, forcing them all back. They don't understand what just happened. But this is exactly why tragedies occur, too many cultivators worship the law of the strong. Words and lectures alone won't deter such people, only power will. He tells them flatly to get out. They can hardly believe it, another explosion of force. What kind of monster is this person? They have no choice but to run. Everyone congratulates him, it was amazing, that slash was incredible. But he brushes it off, saying they were just overstepping. If they're done here, he wants to leave. It seems there's no chi left in this domain anyway. Xiaoya is thinking, if that slash had truly landed, there would be nothing left but a few charred corpses. He is without doubt a first-class superior attribute pioneer, a talent at the very top level. She must report this to the organization. We move to the Spiritual Chi Association Hall. Xiaoya reports that another superior attribute pioneer has appeared. Her superior is surprised, another one. She doesn't understand, but they decide to register him immediately. Jade notes they've been lucky, 2 superior attribute pioneers in quick succession. But luck has nothing to do with it, such people will be considered nobility, highly valued, and destined to hold high positions at the center of power in the future. The work is becoming troublesome, her superior even jokes about wanting to resign. Our protagonist is now in incognito mode. But everyone around him jokes that he's doing a cosplay of some Big Brother character, and doing it extremely well. His sword, though supposedly a prop, looks so real, and he carries it with such style. People wonder who made it for him. They call him a man among men, the pinnacle. In truth, the attention he's getting is simply because it looks like cosplay. Meanwhile, on the forums, people are talking about how cultivation novels are becoming reality. But it's all thanks to the inner flame, it was careless of him. Obviously, a power releasing 2000 degrees of heat would cause anomalies. Who leaked his details? It couldn't have been Old Li, Shan, Xiaoya, or the others. After absorbing so much yang attribute chi, he feels that if he uses the golden sun breathing technique one more time, he can break through again. No matter, he'll head to the mountain as quickly as possible. 5 minutes later, on the mountain behind Fang Jing's house, a girl finally finishes her work. She's an expert in garden restoration, Su Qingjing. But at that moment, she senses an incredibly powerful aura, it's coming from that mountain. She can't believe it's him. Whoever it is, they're on the verge of reaching 3-star Wifu. For a Wifu-level cultivator to cause this much disturbance, this no longer even fits the category of prodigy. She can't stay here, she must go confirm if it's him, and if it is, she must capture him immediately. Our protagonist is performing a series of intricate hand seals, essentially leveling up, and working to refine his divine axe. His control over spiritual energy is so stable, one would think he had cultivated in secret for hundreds of years without anyone knowing. But when he attempts to break through to the 3rd Wifu level, the phantom axe rejects him under the crushing pressure of the divine axe. He spits blood and ends up bedridden for a week. He really doesn't want to remember it, his constitution failed him that time. But where did this monster come from? The abundant spiritual energy, the precise control, wielding the divine axe, every thread of spiritual energy seemed 1,000 times stronger. This person was no longer just a monster, he was practically a divine existence. Most pioneers rush headlong the moment they feel the chance to advance, but this man, he was solid, steady, with an incredible mindset and determination, like an immensely experienced hermit master. The divine axe moved east, and she couldn't believe it, he'd achieved a breakthrough, Phantom Axe Realm, 2 stars. She arrived just as all that power dispersed. Once again, she was too late, barely 30 seconds had passed. If she wasn't mistaken, he had already realized she was following him. At this rate, she would never recruit him. She called out for him to wait. She said she was still there, it was her. She had been investigating him these past few days. She introduced herself, the captain of the Firefly Squad, a division under the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association of the nation of Sia, and also a pioneer. In the name of the association, she extended him a cordial invitation. She'd been tracking him for 2 days, waiting for the chance to invite him to join the official association. She hoped he wouldn't have a bad impression of them. Although their association had not yet gone public, it already had official status and documentation. She was doing her best to be as polite as possible, choosing her words and tone carefully. But he didn't understand why the country wanted to find and integrate pioneers, why they wanted them to regulate themselves over time. It was true that pioneers who joined would receive additional protection. But right now, pioneers were growing wildly, unchecked. Joining an association could also become a restriction. In the end, though, everyone would have to face the resurgence of spiritual energy and the common unknown enemies together. Still, he wasn't ready. He couldn't completely trust her yet. She introduced herself fully, Su Qingjing. Before the spiritual energy resurgence, she had been an athlete, did he remember? That was her identification, and she wanted him to believe her. He seemed to have a faint impression. Yes, he saw it now. Those with better innate conditions became pioneers more easily. No wonder she could run so fast. But in his past life, due to her circumstances, she had never achieved her goal. The truth was, all humanity had been destroyed. Now that he had a second chance, and the system was with him, he would definitely play a role. But not yet, it wasn't the right time. He definitely remembered her, so he would consider it, but for now his whereabouts must remain secret. From her behavior, he could tell the current Spiritual Energy Association didn't dare offend pioneers like him at all. That was perfect, it meant they might be useful allies, and cooperation could be possible. But the anomalies he caused during breakthroughs had already been detected by the association, so she would still have to file a report. So be it. And then, he vanished from sight. She couldn't believe it. He had slipped away yet again, intentionally hiding from her, meticulously erasing his tracks. She reported back. She was told not to worry, it was actually a good thing for her to be out on missions. Recently, more anomalies had been appearing. She could hardly believe it, the sinister, brutal creatures they had faced before were unforgettable, cold, malicious, or else crazed and savage. They thrived on the energy of contaminated domains. After the resurgence of spiritual energy, some mutated into aberrant beasts that devoured humans. Others disguised themselves as anomalous disasters, killing constantly, dividing territory, and eventually creating new contaminated domains. If they weren't eliminated, they would continue to erode the human world with their horrific, destructive properties. We cut to a stormy night, red alert for thunderstorms and heavy rain. Citizens are urged not to go outside unless absolutely necessary, and to remain safe. The scenic area of the Jade Emperor Peak in their city is prone to flooding. The zone is closed, do not go there. He hadn't seen a storm this terrifying in decades. What immense power was sweeping through this place. A dense energy of the thunder attribute, majestic and violent, yet the center of the storm was here, at this very peak. He began running. Contaminated domain detected ahead, Jade Emperor Peak. The Jade Emperor Peak, standing at 1,545 meters in altitude, spanning an area of 25,000 stadia, was one of the city's main tourist attractions. Contamination level, unknown. As he advanced with a serious expression, a bolt of lightning struck directly above him. According to spiritual energy concentration scans, the danger level of Yujuan Peak was rising exponentially. The summit needed to be sealed off immediately, establishing a new contaminated zone. This incident was sudden and severe. Originally, they had sent King Jean on another mission, but she had been called back in an emergency. She was briefed, currently, no one was allowed to ascend to the summit of Yujuan Peak. The Thunder Attribute spiritual power was showing explosive growth. For now, the site was classified as an A-level contaminated zone, but at the current rate, Yujuan Peak could reach S-level contamination within an hour. The emergency plan had to be activated immediately. But based on the data, none of the pioneers in the region had the ability to approach the zone, not even her. Even for a 3-star Wifu pioneer, predictive models showed a 100% mortality rate. The plan was to block access directly from the base of the mountain, deploying patrols around the clock to ensure no one attempted to climb. They agreed to cut the danger off at its root, close the mountain entirely. The contaminated zone had just been born, its spiritual energy overflowing, and no one was to approach until the concentration had dropped enough for investigation. But back on the mountain, we see the lightning has done nothing to our protagonist, thankfully. He had the golden sun breathing technique on his side. Yet, this alone was not enough to extract the purest essence of the thunder attribute. He would have to reach the epicenter of the storm, the summit of Mount Yujuan. With the awakening of spiritual energy, humanity was not only gaining few advantages, it risked having the food chain reversed, humans falling to the very bottom through their own complacency. And beyond that, climate changes were becoming severe. In the future, even a simple rabbit could become a deadly threat to humans. And now, things far more terrifying were beginning to appear. Mutant beasts, even cultivators could find themselves helpless against them. Though he had already mastered the golden sun breathing technique and the crimson flame saber art, representing the young attribute and inner fire, he knew it was still not enough. Earlier, he had spent writing points to implant both attributes into his Tang saber. The young attribute had increased the weapon's defense and durability, while the crimson flame saber art had amplified its destructive power. However, relying too much on weapons had its limits. He himself also possessed considerable abilities, and only by becoming truly strong could he precisely defeat those cunning, ruthless enemies and gain the upper hand. The thunder power of this place was the perfect opportunity to strengthen his body once more. To grow stronger, he had to constantly seek out chances like this, taking advantage of the ever-changing heavens and earth. Otherwise, in these natural disasters, he would be left with nothing but death. Without another thought, he drew his sword and attempted to clash against the lightning. The resistance was immense, absorbing that energy fully into his body injured him. This thunder attribute was a purer form of power, the brutal force of divine punishment, pressing down on him relentlessly as if enraged by his trespass into forbidden territory. It demanded he kneel in submission. But how could he make such a force serve him instead? He had to remain calm, think clearly. The system warned him, he had to make direct contact with the spiritual power. So he did. Activating the golden sun breathing technique to full power, he charged straight into the path of a descending bolt, meeting it with his blade. The strike landed, his body screamed with injury, but he endured. He had to reach that summit, had to face death in order to be reborn. The thunder energy was so overwhelmingly dense that even breathing caused muscle spasms. It wanted to destroy him. But not today. The powerful thunder attribute had been detected, and he was now processing it. Meanwhile, people in the city were stunned, they had never seen lightning so massive in their entire lives. Some even wondered if high-level gods were transcending, and one swore they saw a human silhouette in the sky. If that lightning struck the city, what would happen? Would it tear down buildings? At that moment, our protagonist gained 100 divine lightning refinement, summoning celestial lightning to refine the physical body, transforming flesh into divinity. He also gained 50 writing points. The thunder attribute was a superior power, specialized in offense. Unlike Yang, thunder could refine the body, transforming it into living lightning, excelling in both attack and defense, and possessing an unexpectedly overwhelming dominance. According to legend, the cultivators of ancient times had abundant spiritual energy and heaven-reaching techniques. They channeled lightning into their bodies for long periods until their bodies became like indestructible immortal mountains. Lightning was both their spear and their shield. He understood now, the power of thunder was not merely destruction and annihilation. It was also purification and rebirth. He could feel it tempering and fortifying his muscles, bones, and meridians. During this refinement, there was not even a trace of pain. This was the pure power of lightning's judgment, punishing all evil and granting plus 300 critical damage. The system asked if he wanted to spend writing points. He did, but instead of implanting the thunder attribute into his Tang saber, he hesitated. Adding it would make the weapon more resilient, but might also disrupt the purity of its Yang attribute. Too many attributes could cause the weapon to break entirely. So he decided, the thunder attribute would be implanted into his right hand. When asked to confirm, he said yes, taking the power into himself immediately. The next day, at the summit of Yujuan Peak, Major Han was given an unexpected report. The contaminated domain at the peak had gone from maximum contamination to mild levels in less than 3 hours. However, large amounts of residual electrical charge still lingered in the air. Someone had been here, it had to be a pioneer. Major Wan Li of the army couldn't believe it, another one, alive. They couldn't detect his attributes, nor when he'd left. Perhaps too much time had passed, and the torrential rain from last night had erased the tracks. But judging from the situation, he had left around 8 p.m., completely unharmed. It didn't make sense. The anomaly had begun at 6 p.m. They had reached the base at 7. That meant he must have climbed before then, otherwise, they would have detected him. The lightning storm at Yujuan summit had been at its most intense at 7. That was not in the forecast. Even the association's instruments had predicted the contamination would reach S level by dawn. Yet, after 8, the intensity of the energy had suddenly dropped. Moreover, this person likely possessed thunder attribute abilities, otherwise, no one could have endured such a lightning tribulation. This anomaly had, in truth, been a great opportunity for him. That's why they suspected, not only was he still alive, but the anomaly itself had changed because of him. Otherwise, it would be far too much of a coincidence. Had this person stumbled upon the opportunity by chance? Or had he actively sought out this celestial anomaly, moving faster than anyone else? People like that were the most dangerous. They didn't know what he was made of, or whether he posed a threat to society. But if he did, the resulting disaster could be no less than the anomalies themselves. They had to find him, at any cost. He was now the key figure, the one they called the Tyrant. The hope was that the association could recruit the Tyrant as soon as possible. On their side, they would block all information and conduct an exhaustive investigation without delay. However, they also had a high-level pioneer trying to make contact, Shiasu. She was to report to Major Han. This was the pioneer who had purified the anomaly at the A-class contaminated domain at King Chin University's North Gate. She knew she was in a difficult position. She could not reveal herself in any way. She explained that she had recently been trying to deal with him, but unfortunately, the man moved mysteriously. Once, she had even come across the corpse of a mutant rabbit beast that he had killed. If she wasn't mistaken, he possessed the solar flame attribute. She would do everything in her power to get close to him and find out how he had purified the university's north gate. Although she had tried to give her superior only partial information, lying to him, he was still surprised at the mention of the solar flame attribute. He understood, they needed young people like her, those who could surpass the previous generation. The praise from Major Han left her feeling recognized, and she promised she would continue working hard. He added that they would also release some smoke screens in the form of reports about natural disasters, and leave things at that for now. Although he wasn't entirely in favor of publishing information about spiritual energy on the internet, since it could be exploited by those with bad intentions, for the moment, the matter was concluded. We head to Fong Yi's home. He uses his golden sun breathing technique and channels it into his cloak. After injecting the thunder attribute, he can still feel clear, tangible changes. His right hand now seems physically reshaped by the thunder's power, becoming the most indestructible part of his entire body. The improvement is substantial. He even feels as though he's once again on the brink of leveling up. But what surprises him most is that the thunder attribute, once so dominant and fierce, has become as docile as a kitten after being implanted, easily controlled. When he unlocked the solar attribute for the first time using the golden sun breathing technique, the pain had been unbearable. Could it be that the thunder power had weakened after he absorbed it? Not exactly. According to the system, this thunder attribute now deals 300% critical damage against evil entities. He's itching to test it. Just then, his phone rings. Checking it, he's unsure what's going on. After the last incident, he set news and forum alerts to priority watch. Now, something major is happening worldwide. To protect ordinary citizens as much as possible, the CIA central headquarters issues danger alerts immediately. But to a pioneer like him, these alerts are also irresistible opportunities. Even if there's a risk of death, he has to try. The latest report shocks him, an explosion at a chemical plant. But there's no chemical involved. Instead, it's an explosion that caused urban contamination, and the cause is under investigation. The blast occurred during a shift change, so there were no casualties. Citizens are urged not to panic and to look after their families. Explosion. Contamination. For an event of this scale, it's hard not to suspect something hidden behind it. On the forums, speculation explodes. Then, he recognizes something. This cold, malevolent aura feels familiar. Memories surface from his previous life. That terrifying thing should never move. If it did, it could kill him. Those creatures, they like to appear in dark, shadowy moments. Originally any animal or plant, but once mutated, they could gain intelligence. Their power would turn wild, and their perception, hunting, and instant kill abilities would sharpen to bizarre extremes. This one is 100 times more dangerous than the mutant rabbit beast. Tonight, he must set out to ensure it doesn't continue surviving and evolving. It's time to test his real combat ability, with 300% critical damage in hand. Meanwhile, others are heading toward the same target. The Annihilation Squad is tracking the anomaly listed as File 7, the Night Candle. For now, they've temporarily lost it. Known abilities of the Night Candle, merging with the darkness, hiding its form, and emitting a subtle crackling sound when approaching. It enjoys eating people. The squad is urged to help complete the file quickly. In this weather, it will definitely begin feeding. They cannot allow that to happen. At command, all units are on alert. The complete file on the Night Candle has been received. The B priority extermination operation request has been issued, expected to be resolved within 12 hours. The Annihilation Squad must continue tracking the target, with the primary goal of ensuring civilian safety. 12 hours is not exactly fast, but it's the best the Central HQ can offer. After all, the country is vast, and mutations and resurrections are happening everywhere. The headquarters can't handle it all at once. They will have to hold their positions for now. In their current area, they have an agent from the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association, Suking Jin, captain of the Firefly Squad, on an observation mission for pioneers. They can message her for temporary assistance. They thank her, mentioning they've heard of her accomplishments. She didn't realize she had become so famous. But she knows the truth, it's them who keep dragging her into overtime missions. This time, they're dealing with the Night Candle, a people-eating anomaly. This isn't just overtime, but she's irritated at being asked for help. It's not like the Annihilation Squad lacks strength, they have superior abilities. They don't need someone doing extra shifts to assist them. The Firefly Squad won't be joining, she says, and starts to leave. But the squad leader is blunt. What if they get eaten? That would be very problematic. One of them calls after her, telling her to wait. A moment ago, his tone was harsh. He hopes she can help them track its whereabouts. They know just how dangerous the Night Candle is. Without her search and tracking skills, it's not just them, anyone in the area could be devoured. Everyone in the city would undoubtedly die if this thing was left unchecked. In the end, she decided to help them, and she found it. The moment she confirmed its location, she checked File 7, Night Candle. It was right there, in front of her. Dark, damp places, the Annihilation Squad had to begin the operation immediately. As they moved in together, the creature noticed them and began to flee. The target had detected them, they had to eliminate it as fast as possible. 4 of them managed to corner it, ready to take it down. Their strike landed, wounding the monster slightly, but it immediately unleashed an overwhelming force. They had to be wary of its sound waves and dodge them, but in an instant, they were blasted backward. When they checked on each other, they realized several were injured. This night candle was truly powerful. If they hadn't retreated in time, their bones might have been shattered. With such destructive force combined with its terrifying darkness attribute, if it lingered in the urban zone any longer, it would certainly cause a catastrophe. Then, it tried to escape underground. The captain warned that this was a dark attribute with corrosive properties. When it touched something, it could erode its structure. They didn't have any superior attributes that could completely counter it. Still, while it could corrode the ground, it couldn't instantly create a full escape tunnel. They wouldn't break the Annihilation Squad's formation, they had to be careful. The squad would focus on collecting real-time data and moving to key tactical positions. But suddenly, the night candle charged forward, knocking one member aside. They couldn't let it escape, they had to give chase. The spiritual power concentration in the area began rising sharply, but the rest of the team was told to remain outside. The captain would go in with them. They arrived inside an abandoned factory to check the spiritual energy concentration there. This was the perfect time to test the new auxiliary equipment developed by the association, a specialized watch. It displayed the threshold of anomalous spiritual power a squad could handle, currently set at 50. The night candle's anomalous concentration read 48, but then it spiked past 80, still climbing rapidly. That could only mean one thing: there was more than one anomaly here. At that moment, the factory door slammed shut. This was bad, there really was another anomaly. The night candle had lured them here on purpose. They had to retreat, they couldn't stay much longer. Moving toward the door, they prepared to break it down, attacking together. But then, something moved behind her. Her eyes, all 5 senses, and her entire body were suddenly invaded by a toxic gas. She couldn't move. The others called out, asking if she was okay, but no one answered. It was as if she was the only person in this abandoned factory. The others should have been nearby, yet she couldn't sense them, and they weren't responding. Thinking it through, she realized. The night candle had brought them here for a reason. And the reality was, this wasn't the territory of another. It was an anomaly. He could vaguely sense just moments ago that it was most likely a giant serpent. Unlike the night candle's dark attribute, this black smoke was poisonous. The moment they had stepped into it, they'd been poisoned. The toxic gas could paralyze their senses and accelerate the depletion of their spiritual energy. If they used spiritual energy to attack, they would only hasten their exhaustion and, in the end, die. Her own spiritual power was nearly gone. Without the protection of spiritual energy, she would soon become a corpse. She didn't even know what kind of anomaly this was. It had combat intelligence and such extraordinary abilities that it was toying with them, running them in circles. If this continued, everything would end here. At that moment, a light flared and a silhouette, like Batman, entered. But it was our protagonist, Juan. So, this was the dark attribute anomaly they detected. The serpent lunged at him immediately, but he evaded. Just as he dodged, the night candle leapt at him as well. That's when he realized, there were 2 anomalies here. One was meant to trap the prey, the other to harvest it. Smart, too smart. No wonder the spiritual energy concentration here had been abnormal. If you like biting so much, he said coldly, then try the taste of my lightning. In a flash, he struck, and the serpent felt the burn of his flame. It recoiled slightly, even showing fear. Then it lunged again. He leapt to the side, letting it commit to the attack, and when it realized he was about to strike, it was too late. His blow cut it in half, severing the head. But to his surprise, something strange happened. The serpent began to regenerate. He had suspected it might have a hidden card to play. Activating his thunder ability, he struck again, slicing it in 2 once more, but this time, he smiled. He had noticed earlier that the serpent's darkness was even denser than the night candle's. When he used the Tang Saber's inner fire, he had intentionally pulled back the yang energy in time, channeling lightning directly into the serpent's body. The night candle's dark powers had been more slippery than strong. It preyed on isolated humans, maybe 1 or 2 at a time, and hadn't truly evolved. But this serpent, this was different. Its scales, its size, definitely a mutated creature. Its intelligence had grown. It was treacherous, using venom to paralyze and attacking in silence without detection. Thankfully, the constant circulation of his Jin Tang breathing technique within his body, combined with the Yang attribute, allowed him to dissolve the poison. Yin-Yang energy guarded and healed, while lightning purified. Together, they caused a burning pain in response to the venom's invasion, a built-in alarm against enemy attacks. Anyone else, even with protection, would hardly have survived. For this serpent to have grown so large unnoticed, it had to be at least 3-star Wifu. With its stealthy hunting style combined with the night candle's help, they had been the perfect combo to eliminate any pioneer, likely having devoured many who never made it to join official teams. In the end, no matter how poisonous or dark it was, it turned to ash. The inner fire was strong, but truthfully, the triple lightning strike was far more decisive. In terms of real combat among pioneers, he wasn't doing badly at all. Just then, someone approached. He saw the girl from the association. Sue something. He couldn't recall her name. He told her to drop the act. Pretending to be dead didn't suit her. But it really was her. What a small world. She wasn't faking, his scent had woken her, and she admitted he had done well. Her teammates were already unconscious from lack of spiritual energy, but she had kept just enough to protect herself. Without some awareness, she wouldn't have noticed the scent of blood and the burnt aroma in the air. She thanked him. He had sensed that she'd saved a bit of energy for defense. Still, she had no idea how he defeated the night candle and the serpent. He told her there was no need to keep watching him, so long as she stayed discreet and didn't reveal his identity, it would be fine. This time, her attitude was far friendlier than before. It was already late, and her companions were safe, so she prepared to leave. She asked him to wait a moment, but he simply left everything there in her hands and walked away. She could deal with it. In a crowd this large, it was hard to keep secrets. Luckily, she hadn't seen him trying to absorb that dark energy. That sensation of cold rejection had been disgusting, maybe because he'd already dispelled most of it, and also because his body rejected it intentionally. Also, the system hadn't reacted. Better to leave that for analysis later at home. At that moment, we returned to the girl. She regretted not being able to see his face clearly. She urged her team to wake up. It was over. She explained that they had walked into a trap. But when they finally came to, everything was already taken care of. She had no idea what had happened here, or where so much Yang attribute energy had come from. But clearly, someone had stepped in to help them. This was the very person she had been investigating. Her mission was to identify a pioneer with a high-level, pure attribute, exactly like this one. Even so, she still didn't know who he was. His identity remained a complete mystery. But she understood what they'd just been involved in. That man had defeated both Su Yi and the serpent alone. That was incredible. She wondered where Su Ye's body had ended up, but first, they had to secure the area and hand over the remains to the association. Then, she felt it, a jolt of thunder through her body. What was this wild energy? The squad leader, Sud, had said he possessed the Yang attribute, but this thunder, where had such powerful residual electricity come from? The strength of what lingered here was extraordinary. This was what remained of Su Yi. Its purity of thunder was undeniable, and definitely of high-level attribute quality. Could it be that two high-level pioneers had appeared here at once, one killing the serpent, the other killing Su Yi, and then leaving together? No, she knew that wasn't true. She had seen it herself. There had only been one person in this place. Yet, that one man carried two advanced attributes in his body at the same time. Having even one made you an extraordinary genius. But two? That was something unheard of. The Solar Flame Walker and the Thunder Tyrant, what kind of phenomenon was this man? Thankfully, she had left part of her team waiting outside the factory. If she took too long, they were under orders to notify the association. The association had assessed the situation and sent an investigation team. Truthfully, they had expected to be coming to recover bodies. Her teammates were in tears. They couldn't imagine what they'd do without her. But now, the priority was clear: scan the residual spiritual energy, analyze the traces, and reconstruct exactly how the battle had unfolded. The investigation team was now on site, ready to deliver the official report on the incident. After comparing the traces found at the scene, they concluded that both the combat style and the method used to eliminate the anomalies indicated a 99% probability that it had been the same person. They were stunned. A double attribute pioneer. At first, she thought she'd misunderstood, but no, anyone else facing those anomalies would have been wiped out instantly. Then she received new information: her target had resurfaced. She needed to report it immediately. The result of her observation was clear: the Tyrant and the incident at the north gate of Chinyang University were linked. Both were her tracking objectives. She was told to stand down from her current mission. The target had eliminated the anomaly, saved her, and was still in the area, meaning he was not hostile to the association. For safety, and to leave him with a positive impression of the official side, it would be better not to approach him again for some time. She understood, but she had a theory about what had happened on the mountain before the Tyrant's breakthrough. In one of her areas of activity, she had felt an extremely powerful energy and suspected he might possess a spiritual weapon. At first, it seemed unlikely, but now that she knew he was a double high-level attribute pioneer, she truly believed he had one. Impossible, or so she thought. Even with great talent, having a spiritual weapon without external support or resources was unheard of. The investigators found no trace of a third attribute related to spiritual weapons. However, based on her confrontation with him, the spiritual energy she'd sensed from his weapon was Yang attribute. That meant the weapon's power came directly from his own Yang attribute, an incredible feat. If he were a spirit creator realm master, in theory, he could accomplish this using only his own skill. But there were only a handful of such people in the world, fewer than 2. If this man truly had a third spiritual attribute, it would change everything and shake the entire pioneer world. Research showed that spiritual attributes tend to repel one another inside the human body. It was nearly impossible for 3 distinct spiritual attributes to coexist, and no pioneer had ever been known to wield all 3. If he indeed had a spiritual weapon and no third attribute was detected, perhaps that was a good sign. They could only hope such a powerful pioneer would never become humanity's enemy. We return to our protagonist. After a bath, he reflected, less than a year remained before the full recovery of spiritual chi, but disturbances were already happening everywhere. The anomalies were beginning to act more violently, and many pioneers like him had started cultivating on their own. Once the channel between body and spiritual world was opened, they could sense environmental changes with far greater clarity, like the people from the underground river domain. Even without official recognition from Xiao, many self-taught pioneers had already reached the first level of the Wufu realm. For now, official agencies like Ago were showing a friendlier attitude toward independent pioneers like him. This meant that relations between official and unofficial pioneers were in a relatively stable trial phase. Anomalies were still under a degree of control, and there were no major conflicts between pioneers. But the government's creation of a spiritual cultivation association, without making it public, was telling. More and more people were talking about dangerous changes and uncertainty. Clearly, the government wanted to protect humanity while also preparing for potential crises. And that was the problem, he could feel it. The government lacked the confidence to open an era of cultivation for the masses. With such a huge population, releasing that information would first cause chaos, collapse of order, and countless deaths. Right now, officially recognized pioneers didn't yet have the strength to stabilize such chaos. If internal and external enemies arose at the same time, it would only accelerate the collapse of the current system. This gradual approach by the government wasn't bad. After all, the human heart could be more terrifying than ghosts. Even so, what worried him was that the anomalies seemed to be evolving faster than he'd expected. Today's battle was a perfect example, a mutation caused by dark attribute contamination. When he touched the black fog, he discovered it was related to a subcategory of the dark attribute, the deadly pupil attribute, highly lethal to pioneers. These anomalies were far more intelligent than common monsters. They didn't just hunt humans, the bodies of pioneers were a delicacy for them. Some even collaborated to set traps specifically for pioneers. Although this still couldn't compare, with those dark creatures he had seen before, monsters so dangerous that just 2 of them could destroy an entire country, or even a continent. If he hadn't gone after her today, the squad, and the people who had been hoping to recruit him, would have died. And to think, this was only a variant of the Ren attribute. It proved just how dangerous darkness truly was. But the fact that the system told him it couldn't be absorbed for now meant that once he met certain requirements, he would be able to. Dark attribute powers were extremely effective against humans. If he could master it, it might be the key to changing the fate of the entire world. For now, he already had the solar breathing method of the Yang attribute, the divine lightning refinement of the thunder attribute, the inner fire sword art, and the Yang sub-attribute techniques, all high-level techniques perfectly suited to his current attributes. With his current strength as a 3-star Wufu, there were almost no pioneers who could face him head-on. And yet, it still wasn't enough. Just then, his phone rang. It was his aunt. Surprisingly, she told him that Xiaomi, his cousin, wanted to know how he'd been lately. She was going to study near where he lived and didn't feel comfortable staying alone in a hotel. She asked if she could stay with him for a few days. He thought back. What he remembered of her was that she'd been a nerd, completely obsessed with studying. He couldn't even remember her face. Still, it was fine, he told her she could come. He asked when she'd arrive, but she told him not to worry, she'd just come on her own if he gave her the address. We cut to a girl sitting at a computer. She was chatting and sending a few routine messages, thanking her aunt. Then she smiled, she wouldn't hold back. While she talked with her cousin, we saw her typing and researching the town she was heading to, Yenbyo town. When someone opened the door and asked if everything was ready, she said yes, but admitted she still didn't want to trouble her cousin. The hotel would have been enough, but it felt safer and more comfortable staying at his place. She reassured herself, she didn't want to cause problems for him and would help out however she could. She reminded herself to take things one step at a time, as always. No matter how hard things got, no strange phenomenon was as complicated as her cousin.